Good evening and welcome to the Monday, November 10th edition of FSU Weather. I'm meteorologist Donovan Wiseman.
I'm student meteorologist Cody Winter.
And it's been a beautiful day today and it's going to get even better tomorrow.
Absolutely, just been a beautiful day. Actually, quite a beautiful day to go to the North Florida Fair.
Yeah, it's going on from the 6th, so it's already started and it's going until the 16th.
Absolutely. And it's at the North Florida Fairgrounds, and it's the area's largest agricultural fair featuring FAA competitions, food, fun, rides, great time for family, friends, anyone you're really close to, or even anyone you want to get to meet. So,
and it's not that expensive either.
Oh, not that expensive at all. $7 for adults, ages 6 to 12, actually $4, and anyone under that age is absolutely free.
And the weather's not going to be bad until late this week.
No, absolutely not. Well, for me, I think it's going to stay pretty nice all week just because I like a little cooler temperatures.
Okay.
But
so maybe tomorrow might not be your cup of tea.
Maybe not. Maybe a little on the warm side, but
we'll be getting closer to 80 tomorrow, but there will be a cool front coming in Wednesday night, so it's going to get a little bit cooler towards the end of the week. So take what you want and go to the fair. It's going to be open until the 16th.
It is going to be open until the 16th. Just maybe wear a jacket, maybe a little beanie if you need one.
Yeah, lots of things to do. They've got small rides for kids, and then they've got the bigger rides for the big kids, too.
I actually think they have some livestock competitions, too. So.
Okay. Yeah, the pig races.
Oh, I love those pig races.
But heading to the fair, there's a lot in the forecast. We've got Donovan here to talk about it.
All right, thanks, guys, and good evening, everyone. Hope you've had a good Monday. Let's talk about what's going on outside here in Tallahassee. We're at 76 right now. There's a few clouds out there as the sun is setting. That dew point is 41 degrees, and the humidity is relatively low. It's been a comfortable day outside, really nice. If you were outside, you felt pretty good. Here's our satellite and radar, and you see a lot of activity over here around Jacksonville, and that's due to some low pressure that has been rising up through the state. We're going to talk about that more in just a few minutes, but let's keep moving in to our area. If we look here in Tallahassee and all of the Big Bend region, throughout the day, we haven't seen a lot. Again, just a few clouds, so it's been a beautiful day here in Tallahassee. And here's our weather headlines. That's what we're talking about tonight. It's going to be warm and sunny for tomorrow. Again, we might have a cold front moving in. It will be dry, cooling down midweek, and that crisp cold air for the weekend. But not too bad of weather. Now, let's send it back to John and Cody at the desk.
Thanks a lot, Donovan. Actually, let's step away from Florida for a little bit. And what's going on in Denver, John?
It's been a rough weather day in Denver, and much of the Northwest today, they had a nearly 50-degree drop in temperatures from this morning.
Sounds a little chilly for me.
Yeah, they started off this morning at 9 a.m. With temperatures in the mid-60s, and since then they've fallen down to 18 degrees in blizzard conditions.
Blizzard conditions, so it's snowing a lot over there right now, isn't it?
It's snowing, and it just started within the last couple of hours, but the wind is also helping that as well. As this front came through, winds starting to gust upwards of 50 miles an hour this afternoon.
All right, so are they even able to see over there, or what's going on with that?
Visibility in much of the mountains out there are falling down to about 1/8 of a mile out there. And the last hour they were down to 1/4 of a mile and still falling.
Wow, if I was in Denver, I'd definitely keep an eye out on the roads.
Yeah, and they're not the only ones. We've got more to talk about in the snow later in this show, but first we're going to return to Florida.
Yeah, guys, let's bring it back here to Tallahassee. Y'all were talking about some winter weather. We almost saw what felt like winter weather for us. Our low today, 37, much lower than what we're used to here on average for this time of year. But you look at that temperature for our record, 28 degrees back in the 61. That's way lower than we want to see it. We don't expect a lot of winter weather for a long time. And here's our water vapor. We've been dry here for the last couple of weeks, it seems like. And we had some dry air around our region today. It didn't quite make it here to where we would feel the effects of it. Again, we've had this low pressure system off the east coast of Florida. It's moving up north, and that's actually remnants of Vance that we had last week, Tropical Storm Vance. But for now, we're staying dry here in our part of the country, and we're going to zoom in on that. And again, there's just nothing that's been out there all day today. It's been a beautiful day. It's been dry and not too humid, so a lot of good things to be happy about here on this Monday. And here's our radar. We're talking again about that low pressure. It is sitting around Jacksonville currently, and again, it's just been rising north all day. It's sort of hanging out there right now. Again, that is from Tropical Storm Vance. They don't expect a lot of rainfall in this area or any bad weather, so it's just kind of hanging out off the coast, and we're going to bring it out and just look at what's going on. They were talking about what's going on out in Denver and Colorado. You can see that, and they had quite a huge temperature change today. Luckily for us, we didn't see any of that, but we are going to see some cooler temperatures. As you see, this cold front is moving in our area. By Tuesday around 6 a.m., it's going to be sitting around, in north central Tennessee, and that's just going to be making its way down through Memphis there, through Mississippi, Alabama by Tuesday at 6 p.m. That's tomorrow. And then Wednesday, we don't expect to see it until, you see there, it's 7 a.m. It's going to be in Alabama and Georgia. By that evening, we should be seeing it move into our area, so we will be cooling down. But for tomorrow, it is Veterans Day. Once you wake up tomorrow for Veterans Day, 53 degrees, 77 in the afternoon and 72 in the evening. Still staying pretty warm. It's pretty normal for us here in our region. Now for tonight's forecast, we're expecting 47 degrees with clear skies again. Not a lot of clouds out there. It's a beautiful night. It's good porch sitting weather. If you don't have to study tonight, that's a good idea to get outside and enjoy that. And for tomorrow, we're expecting a high around 79 degrees. Drier air. It's going to be very sunny, very bright. It's another great day to be outside, of course, before that cold front moves in. Now that cold front isn't going to be bringing in a lot of moisture or a lot of precipitation our way. It's going to be dry, and that's due because it's not too high and there's not a lot of moisture in the atmosphere. So it's not a lot to worry about for now. And of course, here's our 7-day forecast. 79 again tomorrow, getting up to 80 on Wednesday, and then back into the 60s as that cold front moves in, and our lows are going to be dropping. But Matt, let's zoom out and let's take it around the southeast.
All right, thank you so much, Donovan. We're going to take a little bit of a look at what's going on not only in our area, but also in the rest of the tri-state and the whole entire southeast region. So as Donovan mentioned earlier, we have this upper low as well as a low-level circulation here just off the coast, about 50 to 60 miles off the coast of Daytona. This is just spinning around out here, giving a little bit of shower activity to the region, but nothing too bad. And in South Florida, we saw a little bit of shower activity as well. And we did see this is actually some of the remnants of Vance, as Donovan mentioned earlier. So that's actually quite interesting to point out. But let's take a look at the 24-hour temperature change. In South Florida, we saw quite a bit of an increase here, and that's a lot due to that moisture and the humid air down there. And then up here, we're sitting about 8 degrees above where we were this time yesterday, and that's just because we're now ahead of a cold front. And just peeking up into the viewing area up here, you can see those temperatures start to dive in the southeast. But now moving on to our current conditions as you walk outside. Tallahassee, you're sitting at 68 degrees, really comfortable out there. Down in Key West, 72, 74 in Miami. And then the cooler conditions, a little bit northward of us, 68 in Little Rock, and really across the board, it's about the same. So the sun's starting to set and those temperatures are starting to tank once again. Current of RH, relative humidity levels here, 90% in Orlando. That's just because it is currently raining down there. And then down in South Florida, we see those as well. But up in northern areas with cold front passing, we see quite comfortable conditions. Now let's take a look at the water vapor imagery, because we see all that dry air pumping its way into that low pressure, really cutting it off quite a bit from the moisture. You can see the moisture field out here to the east of it, but then underneath it, it's starting to scoop up all of that dry conditions into the center of that low. But let's look at tonight. It's going to be another comfortable night here in Tallahassee, one of the last comfortable ones for a little while, because we're going to start to see those temperatures dive later in the week, which we'll show later in the show, and we have shown a little bit as well. 46 here in Tallahassee, and across the region we're looking at the mid to lower 40s. Into tomorrow, 79 in Tallahassee, might squeak out a couple 80s in some areas down in Miami, 82 degrees, and up in Little Rock, it's going to be the cool tomorrow at 56. That's where that cold front is passing. Now, tomorrow night, it's going to be another cool and comfortable one once again at 49 degrees here in Tallahassee, and really starting to see those temperatures take a tumble to our northern friends. But now we're going to go ahead and pass it back over to the desk.
Talk about squeaking out 80 here in Tallahassee. They barely squeaked out freezing up in Alaska this weekend, where they had a very large extratropical system that was the remnants of actually a typhoon out there.
Yeah, from what I understand, it had a minimum pressure of 924, which is pretty similar to some of those hurricanes we've seen in the past.
Yeah, that was a record for a North Pacific storm. The record used to be 925 millibars, and if you want to compare that to some other storms, Sandy was 940 millibars, and Andrew was 922.
So quite nasty weather up there, isn't it?
Yeah, and they had winds gusting on the Aleutian Islands up near 100 miles an hour on Friday and Saturday.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's hurricane strength wind gusts, isn't
That's
it?
definitely hurricane strength out there, and it's not getting a whole lot better. This system kind of got stuck in the Bering Sea.
So how long do you think it's going to be there? Is it going to stake out for a couple days? Or?
It's going to be there for a couple of days. It's kind of a blocking pattern up there. All the trains kind of got stuck in a row, but that train's going to come down towards the south towards the end of next week.
Okay. All right. So
yeah, we're going to take it away and look at those temperatures across the United States right now. Temperatures in the mid to upper 70s right now, 77 degrees here in Tallahassee this afternoon. Up north, though, look at these temperatures falling down to 21 degrees, but I want to take another look at Denver here. This is their morning and afternoon temperature of 64 degrees. This was at 9 o'clock local time in Denver. Since then, they have literally fallen 50 degrees in Denver. That's a fast fall, folks. That's just in the last 6 to 8 hours. 18 degrees is what their current temperature is in Denver. A nasty day there in Colorado. Across most of the rest of the country, warm in the 60s and 70s, 76 here in Dallas, 68 degrees in Tallahassee. Find the front here across the Central Plains, just passing through Kansas City right now in eastern Iowa. This is all going to come down towards the south and east and head our direction. But first, we've got winds out of the south bringing warm conditions, 31-mile-an-hour winds in Dallas, bringing very warm conditions upwards of near 80 degrees. Look at that weather behind this front, though. We're looking snowy across much of the upper plains from Minneapolis over to the UP. They're expecting 20 inches of snow plus up there in the UP across the UP of Michigan down towards Minneapolis. I-90, I-94 also being affected across the Dakotas. Here, 6 to 8 inches across South Dakota into parts of the Twin Cities. And heading down towards the south, we're talking rain across much of southern Colorado, but where that front has already made it through and temperatures have cooled down, we're already checking in with that blizzard conditions in Denver up towards the University of Colorado there. In Wyoming, still some snow showers, and Rapid City picking up some snow showers as well. The other story across the nation, besides the warmth across the south and east, is this low pressure system just off the east coast of Florida, off the coast of the Space Coast here. This is going to take its sweet time to get away from the coast. It's going to take another day or two before we get away from the coast. And that's bringing in clouds from the north, but it's also bringing in some drier conditions for our area for the next day or two. And these northerly winds, surprisingly, are actually bringing in some warmer conditions as well from the north and the east, bringing us to near 80 degrees tomorrow and Wednesday. And across the country, if you've got to travel across the north and east, Minneapolis is pretty much closed, folks. And if you've got to head anywhere across the north, a lot of planes are coming in from Minneapolis. That's a major hub for many airlines. And that means delays across the country. Boston was checking in with half-an-hour delays as well. And Denver, just that snowy conditions out there. These temperatures aren't getting much higher. In fact, temperatures are going to be falling across the country over the next couple of days. Tomorrow, we're looking at 36 degrees in Kansas City, near 80 degrees still here in New Orleans, in Tallahassee. But now it's time to take it away with our newest student meteorologist here, Cody Winter. Take it away.
All right, thank you so much. Well, thank you for that lovely introduction, John. But let's take a look back at Florida. Enough of the U.S. for right now, but what's going on in our area? Well, pretty much we are going to have beautiful conditions up until Wednesday, and then it's going to drop down a little bit just with that cold front passing through. So we're going to have that crisp cold air for the weekend, but it is going to remain warm and sunny up until about Wednesday or Thursday. So what are we sitting at right now? 68 in Tallahassee, 61 in Quincy. Down near the coast we have 65 and 64. They are getting a little bit of wind off that coast, so they're staying a little cooler. But overall, our temperatures are dropping down a little bit right now, just because we are heating up during the day but getting colder at night. So futurecast winds and temperatures. So pretty much, how is this cold front that's moving in going to affect our wind? Well, what's really going to do is this cold front is coming out of the northwest, and it's actually going to push the air down in our direction, and we're going to be getting colder temperatures as the week goes on, but no storms really associated with those low fronts. This is a very dry low front coming through our area. So you can actually see that with the satellite and radar. There is absolutely nothing in our area, but you do see right now some remnants of some clouds over here, but this is just because of a front that, well, more like a low pressure area sitting in the Atlantic. But right now, nothing really sitting in the satellite and radar. But this translates into a really dry pocket of air right sitting over Florida. You can see that through our water vapor. This huge orange spot is just dry air in our area, and you can definitely see this, this greener area is all that moisture that's off in the Atlantic, but it's not really affecting us at all. So our futurecast, what are we really looking at? Well, right now we have a high sitting in the Gulf of Mexico, which is going to dissipate, and this cold front is going to push down into our area. And it's just going to bring these colder temperatures, but nothing really substantial as far as weather goes. We're just going to have nice sunny days, but they are going to be a lot cooler. So nothing really going on, just a lot of cold front coming through. Beach forecast, what are we looking at today? Well, one of the last remaining days to go to the beach if you don't like those cold temperatures. But on the water, we're actually sitting about 1 foot, really calm, really nice, nothing really going on in the Gulf of Mexico. But tonight's forecast, we are going to drop down to 47 in Tallahassee. We are going to get to 48 St. Mark's, 49 Monticello. But tomorrow we are going to heat back up 79 Tallahassee, 79 Monticello. And 7-day forecast, really nothing going on right now. It's going to stay nice and beautiful. But right now, let's send it back to the desk with Donovan and Matthew. What's going on, Donovan and Matthew?
All right, thank you so much, Cody. That was a fantastic job for your first time here. Welcome to the team. It was really a good job.
Yeah, absolutely. But great job.
Yeah, but I want to touch on something that John mentioned a little bit earlier in his national. That's all that snowfall up in the north.
That's right. We've seen snow over in Colorado. We're going to focus on Minnesota and Michigan. They're getting upwards of 16.5 inches of rain and winter weather up there.
Absolutely. All the way from Minnesota to Michigan, they're just getting inundated by snowfall right now. The first big snowfall of the season. Really, this gets you prepared for what's to come, and just be prepared, folks, for maybe a possible brutal winter.
That's right, and the National Weather Service does a great job of keeping us updated with that. But again, and we've talked about on the show last week what you do and what you don't do with this winter weather. And of course, it is that time of year where you got to be aware of that.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't affect us too much here. I mean, unless you remember last year a little bit with that little freak snowfall. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and take it on back out to the boards to talk about what's going on in our area once again, taking a look around Florida a little bit, because Tallahassee is great, but then we also have the rest of Florida. So let's talk about that low pressure system over off the coast of Daytona, just spinning around up here, a little bit past here, just spinning around right here, and we talked about that a little bit earlier. Those are the remnants of Vance, just causing a few showers and thunderstorms rather for some portions of the Space Coast and down into the Treasure Coast. We actually have some small craft advisories, so be aware if you're heading out boating in the Space Coast or the Treasure Coast, that there's some choppy waves out there and any small crafts. I would advise you to, keep it in port for the evening. But let's take a look at those current temperatures outside the state of Florida a little bit here. 68 in Tallahassee, comparing it all the way down with our friends in Key West at 72 degrees and 74 in Miami. Actually, most of the state is feeling rather comfortable right now. A little bit humid down in the southern parts, but rather comfortable indeed. Let's take a look at that 24-hour temperature change. West Palm Beach, you've got the most now in the double digits here with 10 degrees difference. So West Palm, you're feeling that moisture and that really deep tropical moisture ahead of the front. Tallahassee, we're still looking comfortable even though we're just 8 degrees above where we were this time yesterday. Now let's go ahead and move into the water vapor, because we see all this dry air indicated by the orange here feeding its way into this low pressure. Now, as I mentioned a little bit earlier in the show, this is cutting off that moisture feed into the low. So you can see it's getting entrained into the center of the low, so it should be cutting it off just a little bit there. Now let's take on a tour of Florida, a little brief tour here. We see that low spinning around, causing a couple little showers and storms. We saw one lightning strike on land. The rest of the lightning is reported cloud-to-cloud lightning over the water right now, so nothing too out of the ordinary. And now coming back into our area just a little bit and focusing in on Tampa. Down in Sumter County and eastern parts of Polk County, you saw a couple sprinkles from this system out here just a little bit earlier in the day, but nothing too out of the ordinary. Let's go ahead and dive on into that future cast. We have the high pressure dominating over our area, low pressure spinning around just east of the peninsula. And as the approach of that cold front, that high pressure is just going to die out as the low pushes on out into the northeastern seaboard. The low is going to come on, or the low is pushing out, and that cold air is going to start getting entrained into our area. And let me step aside here just a minute so you can see this big cold front coming in. It's not going to provide too much moisture, but it is going to make those temperatures take a dive. So now that was Wednesday, but let's take a look at tonight. 46 degrees here in Tallahassee, and the rest of the state, you're feeling really comfortable. Even down to Miami, 63. It's still a little warm, but it's comfortable for that area, that's for sure. Pensacola, you're 52. Jacksonville, you're 49 degrees rather. And then moving into tomorrow, it's going to be another beautiful day around the state of Florida. The Sunshine State is really going to be gleaming. Look at all those suns in the forecast. It's going to be a beautiful day around here. But for now, we're going to go ahead and send it over to Shane to talk a little bit about what's going on in the rest of the area.
Thanks, Matt. Well, first we're going to take a look at the tropics. And I know you're thinking, there's nothing going on, right? Well, it is the last month of hurricane season, but that we're not completely out of the woods yet. We've got this system of organized convection out here in the eastern Pacific, which is moving towards the Mexican coast, towards its northeast right now, and it might be bringing some precipitation to Mexico. In fact, precip from the west coast of Mexico is pretty much a certainty. But there is a 50% chance that this system will develop into another tropical storm for the eastern Pacific. If so, it will be named Winnie, as our banner says, and that will make about 20 or 21 systems that the eastern Pacific has seen this season. They've been especially active, especially compared to the Atlantic, which when you think about it has only had 8. Now we're going to turn our focus to what's a more timely thing to worry about this time of year, winter weather. Here over Wyoming and Colorado, they're getting quite a lot of snow right now. Denver has gotten a lot of snowfall already. More is moving in, and they're forecast to get 1 to 2 inches of snowfall accumulation overnight. But they're not the only ones getting the wrath of winter right now. Let's take a look at Minneapolis, where there's actually much deeper shades of blue here, especially over the northern peninsula of Michigan and northern Wisconsin. Minneapolis, though, their specific forecast is for 1 to 3 inches of snowfall accumulation, and that's just tonight. Both Denver and Minneapolis have snowfall in the forecast for day and night through Thursday, so this is definitely going to be sticking around for a while. Taking a wider shot of the whole country, see that band of snowfall from the Rocky Mountains up to the Great Lakes, and the rest of the country is pretty much in the clear from the desert southwest to the deep south out here in Tallahassee. It was a beautiful day, that's for sure, but quite cold in some regions. We were brushing 80 degrees down here. Minneapolis saw a high of 31 degrees. Denver saw a high of 64. And here's something interesting, like John was saying earlier. They saw that at 9 a.m. this morning. Then they dropped, literally 50 degrees. These shades here on the map, we rarely ever see this for a temperature change. So you take that 64, you subtract 50 from it. You got them at about 18 degrees right now. It's really rather drastic. In fact, you can see the front here, the boundary of that really cold air mass, which leaves the rest of the country in warmth. San Antonio at 76, 82 out there in Phoenix. But they are really freezing up there in the north. And let's just take a look at how these temperatures are going to progress. That cold air mass is going to sneak its way south in the country and then recede again as we reach daytime tomorrow. But notice how far it spreads. This isn't just daily fluctuation. This is that whole system digging deeper into the country, bringing colder temperatures in its wake. Few specific numbers. Tomorrow we're going to get up to 4 degrees in Billings, 49 in Dallas, and here in the capital of Florida, 79 degrees. For more on the local, stick around. I'll be back in exactly 1 minute with our last local segment.
All right, thanks, Shane. So, Matt, we were just talking about a minute ago all this winter weather and how important it is to be ready for that. Now, there's a couple of systems that we use here in the U.S. and that the Europeans use that we do that. Let's talk some more about that.
Yeah, I'd like to introduce, I guess, a new segment that Donovan and I have called the Battle of the Models. We use computer models here to forecast the weather and all these crazy winter storms, and the two big ones that we like to use are the European and the GFS model.
That's right, and the Euro, they call it the European Center for Medium Range Weather Forecast, and the GFS is what we use here to get all of our weather. Now, it's important to use both of these because they're programmed differently, isn't that right? And it helps our chances of calling weather.
Absolutely. Each model gives what it would predict for the weather around here, and we use an average of both of those to see what's going to happen to our weather and put that into our forecast.
That's right, and that's very important. We want to be accurate when it comes to that sort of weather. But for now, let's get away from some weather and bring it back to Tallahassee with Shane.
Hey guys, I'm back here, and indeed, keeping with getting away from the winter weather, notice how Denver fell 50 degrees today, or rather, over the last 24 hours. Check this out. 8-degree rise here in Tallahassee. So we haven't fallen, we have climbed in the temperatures. Currently it's 68 degrees here, 59 there in Quincy, 63 in Bainbridge, and Wilma's coming in our warm spot at 77. So we are quite comfortable by comparison. Some South Floridians might call this a bit chilly compared to 80s and 90s with humidity that pervades Miami for most of the year. But I like this kind of weather, and the skies, I enjoy them too. Nothing. That's really the case. It's not a glitch on the radar or anything, because here we go. There's a lot of rain off the coast of Florida there near Jacksonville associated with that low pressure. We're just sitting here in the clear in the North Florida Panhandle and enjoying it, because things may not stay this way forever. In fact, here's a futurecast of temperatures. Tonight at 8 o'clock, 60 degrees, about in keeping with what we're expecting. The temperature will drop pretty quickly now that the sun has fallen. And let's watch what happens. Those dark shades of green and blue come in as we dip to a rather brisk low of 42 degrees when we get up early tomorrow morning. If you want to get up early for Veterans Day, that is. Me, I think I'll sleep in through those cold temperatures, climbing back up to a comfortable 74 degrees. Very seasonable for this time of year, rather wonderful conditions, especially with the sunshine we're forecasting. And then dipping chilly again, not as cold Wednesday night, and then coming around to the end of the day Wednesday, continually seasonal and 67 degrees. What that doesn't show is the cold air that's going to push in. There's that cold front that's snowing up the Midwest and the Rockies right now, and it's going to jump into our region by midweek, by later in the week. There we go through Tuesday evening. It moves into our region, inching closer and closer through Wednesday. So what we're going to see over the 2 days after this is that front begin to make its way into our region and really drop the temperatures. Watch out for those on the 7-day. But for right now in Tallahassee, we're going to get down to 47 degrees tonight into tomorrow morning with clear skies and calm winds, which together make it entirely easy for those temperatures to get very brisk outside, as opposed to if it were cloudy or windy. That would allow it to stay a little bit warmer. Climbing to 79 degrees tomorrow, even maybe breaking 80 degrees there in Quincy, under sunshine. So with fair warning about those colder temperatures at the end of the week, I encourage everyone to get out there and enjoy it. From 78 in Bainbridge, 80 there in Thomasville, it's going to be a wonderful day overall. And here for the 7 days after that, well, let's find where the front comes through. That's when we have that 10-degree drop in lows to 38 degrees on Thursday, climbing only to 61 degrees on Friday. What do you think about that at the guy's desk?
Thank you so much, Shane. We think that is absolutely glorious. All those suns there on the 7-day forecast is really something really awesome to see.
It is, but that one map that we were looking at, I just noticed just that cold front that's just sort of looming its way over here. I don't necessarily like the cooler temperatures, but we take what we can get in this time of year.
Yeah, that's right. At least it doesn't get absolutely freezing down here. But one thing I'm really excited about is Veterans Day tomorrow. Get out there, thank a veteran, because we have the day off, and we want to thank them for their service for our country.
Absolutely, and there's going to be a lot of events going on around Tallahassee where you can do that. Of course, if you're an FSU student or faculty member, you get to sleep in tomorrow. Don't forget about that.
Absolutely. And let's take a look at that 7-day forecast one more time here. 7 days, 7 suns. We have lows starting to dip down on Thursday.
They are, and they're going to be approaching some freezing temperatures, but we don't expect them to get there. In fact, by Monday next week, it should be around 40 degrees, 4-hour low again. So we're not too worried here at FSU Weather.
No, we'll be rebounding nicely, but on social media, we are everywhere now. We're on Facebook at FSU Weather. We're on Twitter at FSU Weather as well. Follow us there. And on live stream, you can watch us anytime.
That's right, and of course we're on Instagram now as well, so if you're out tomorrow and you're doing any Veterans Day festivities, we'd love for you to send in some of your pictures to us so we could use them here on the show. That would be awesome.
Yep, that would be really cool. Send us anything you have, but everyone have a happy Veterans Day tomorrow. I'm student meteorologist Matthew Reagan.
I'm student meteorologist Donovan Wiseman. Good night.